Hey guys, it's a rainy day and I'm in the middle of a hurricane right now, so I'm gonna paint some fish. I'm painting little guppies. They're called koi guppies. They look like miniature goldfish and they're pretty cute. So if you want to learn how to paint these little guys, stick around. Right now, as you can see, I'm just scrolling through Google trying to get some reference photos. These guys are definitely shaped kind of weird. Their mouths are like way above their eyes and they have like a kind of like balloon blimp vibe going on. So I'm just doing an outline in soft orange. I don't like to use pen or Sharpie. That's a mistake I keep making because a lot of these paints are very see-through and then it ends up looking horrible with the pen underneath. So just use a very light color. Yellow is also a good color if you don't have the light orange. So I'm just taking a darker orange with a small brush and going in, filling in where the orange on the fish would be. And it's just kind of like a good solid base color to go down and get things started with. I'm using acrylic paint. I'm actually using paint that's made for model painting like Warhammer and D&D, and I actually find that these paints work really well. They come in these little pots and they're pretty inexpensive, but I think they have a lot better coverage than some of the cheap acrylic paints. I've tried Five Below paints, I've tried paints from Walmart, and I think this one works the best. I think finding a good solid coverage is really important. I also like to use gouache a lot, but gouache is a bit out of the budget right now, and that gives you a nice solid color as well. So really you could do this with anything. You could also do this tutorial with watercolors if that's the look you're going for. So now I've just filled in all the orange spots and I'm going in with white. And yeah, the paper is white, but it'll look a bit weird if you don't put paint over these spots. And there's a lot of white on the fins as well, so I'm trying to add some of that there. It's difficult when you're working with a white background, but we will be changing that later. This is sped up in like 6 times speed, so definitely feel free to pause as usual. And now I'm done with the white parts. I'm actually going to take a dark orange using a small brush and shade the bottom part of this fish here. This fish on the bottom has it's not exact side profile, it's like a 3/4. So you can see his underbelly, so he does look a lot bigger. But I just want to shade the little fins, anything I can with this dark orange. It's kind of a cartoony look. I'm not going for super realistic right now. I'm trying to mix a light orange here to get in the center of the fins. If you have a lighter yellow, I would recommend using it because the shade I mix up I'm not the happiest with. So just your orange you've been using in a very light yellow would make a nice center color. You see me here trying to maneuver that. Also, some red might be nice in the middle here because, you know, these guppies do have a lot of variation of color. And there's kind of like almost a sunset color going on with some of their tails. So obviously you could change the colors around. I know there's a guppy that looks like this with blue and white, which would be really cool to see. So yeah, I'm just filling in some more with the dark orange. Doing some stripes where the tail lines would be. I'm adding these little dots to reflect scales, and then as you can see I added 2 marks right there where the gills would be. I just went ahead with a little brown, put a dot where the eyes would be. We are going to make it darker later. As I said earlier, they have a really weird look. They're not like goldfish. Their mouths are way above where their eyes would be, so that is something to note if that's the look you're going for. But if you want this to be more like a goldfish, make it rounder and then put the mouth down lower. So I added some silver for the stripes here for the scales, that's what I'm trying to say, and then I shaded with some gray in the white parts. I'm adding some silver stripes to the fins to just make it stand out a little bit. It's looking pretty dull, so I'm trying to add some shimmer colors. I like to use metallics when I'm drawing fish, and then just a little line for his mouth. Like I said earlier, this one is the bottom one, 3/4 view for the bottom one, so his mouth looks a bit different than the other guys. And I'm just going ahead and repeating the process with the other fish. I like to do one completely before I start on the other ones so I can get an idea of what I'm doing. So just starting again, using a dark shade of orange to shade in his orange spots. Using that same shade of orange, creating lines. Now the top fish I've been having some difficulty with because his head is definitely way too big to be a guppy. So I'm gonna go in and any of these like shapes on the fish I don't like, we're going to Photoshop with our paint afterwards because I am doing a solid background for these fish. Just going in, adding the fin lines. Again, highlighting the white with gray or silver. I like the metallic silver because it looks really cool on the paper. Adding some little scales with darker shades to add that stripe where the head would connect and kind of looks like a little gill right there. Then I'm adding the silver stripes in the dorsal fins or tail fins or whatever they're called. I'm not exactly a fish expert. A lot of these fish have clear fins, but that's kind of hard to show, so I like to use silver and white. We'll go in and add more white at the end. I'm using a solid green. Took me a few shades to figure out what I liked, but I like the solid green. I'm doing a series of fish paintings and I haven't done a green background yet, and obviously green and orange are complementary colors, so I think they look really cute together. So just going in and filling that background and then using this background shade to fix any shapes that I don't like on the fish. As you can see, I've already made the head for the top fish way pointier, so it looks much better and much cleaner. Going in with my black marker and then highlighting white on the eyes, adding white to the fins as well. I like using super tiny brush for this one. Again, I'm using a model painting brush because they make super tiny ones that are great and pretty cheap. Just because it looks a bit dull, I just went ahead and added more white to the fins. Reference photo, there's a lot of like clear white marks on the ends of these tails, so I'm gonna go ahead and add white to the ends of the tails on these guys. I think it looks much better this way. Pretty happy I did that, but obviously you could keep it the way you wanted. You could even add black at the ends of the tails too. That'd be a pretty cute look. So I think they're looking pretty cute at this point. We want to go ahead and add our background shade mix with the darker shade, even black if you have it, to make a little shadow. Obviously this isn't super realistic, but I just think it makes them pop out a little bit more. I think it looks better this way. Kind of almost makes them look like they're laying on a table, which is kind of odd, but I think it looks pretty cute this way. I've always liked to shade the backs of my fish for this fish series. Almost look like little gummies, which is how I feel when I look at them in real life. So I'm just using my pen. I'm adding a few lines where like I think lines would be. See, I'm accentuating the gills, adding a few stripes for the fins, and that's about it for this, guys. Obviously, you can customize this to make this however you want, make it your own. I really like these guys, and I'm excited to see how other people's guppies turn out. So if you're into this, give me a follow. I'm going to be doing a fish series. I'm doing neon tetras and gobies next. If there's anything you want to see in particular, let me know. And that's about it.